Tonight on Debate 13. Good evening, it's that time again where we do Force 13's irregular debate programme. Now this one's been quite thrust upon me. It's rather interesting how this one's going to proceed because we're going to be talking about a few things with some of our team here on Discord. And if you've not joined the Force 13 Discord server, you won't be aware that there is some sort of an election coming up on there for the next moderator post. So they're really trying to impress everyone watching and maybe to increase their credibility on the air as well. Well, we'll see how they'll do. I'll be moderating this evening and we'll be talking about just what you saw there at the beginning of the show and plenty other things. We'll let everyone introduce themselves shortly, but first, just as a matter of fun, I guess, if you do want to vote on the poll as to which members are your favourite, you can do that on force13.com/vote. Well, let's join everyone online now. You'll see the instructions, by the way, on that webpage. Let's see who's here. We're joined by a lot of people right now. You can see the faces of Daniel and John there, and you can also see not yet the faces, but we'll try and convince them to show themselves, maybe, who knows, of Orlando in the top middle, Dane bottom middle, and Cesar at the bottom right hand side. Obviously signals can fail as well, so that can get a little bit of a problem sometimes, so we don't mind if they don't show themselves.
The game's camera's on.
Yes. So we've now got their audio, that's wonderful. Let's introduce everyone one by one, and what I want from you guys is around 2 minutes here each of you introducing yourself, what you're about, and what your aspirations are within the project. It's all about the community here in this hour as well. That's what our central focus is. So Daniel, I'd like to start with you. Take it away.
Okay, my name's Daniel. I've been following the project for, say, 3 years now. I'm currently running as moderator, and as a moderator, I'm hoping to make Force 13 a welcoming environment for all members.
We hope it is, by the way. You're doing a good job.
There's not really much more to say, really. I just want everyone to feel welcome, and I'm not willing to tolerate anyone that may get in the way of that or interfere with keeping the peace, so to say.
Right out. We've had a view like that.
Yeah. I just think that some members may be at risk of maybe upsetting the project a bit, and that maybe
let's hope not.
Yeah. Just that I think everyone should be given the chance to enjoy the project and shouldn't feel under scrutiny by anyone else.
We're also very interested in what the viewers have got to say about us as well, and what we could improve during our streams. This is, very much community oriented, but it's within this debate format this evening. Thank you very much, Daniel. Let's move on to Orlando, who has a picture of Trump on his avatar, which you might want to also talk about. Who knows?
Well, my name's Orlando Figueroa. Myself, as Nathan mentioned, my avatar of Trump. But,
quite hard to ignore.
But besides that, what I'd like to pursue within the project is for everyone to be able to, like Daniel mentioned earlier, to enjoy themselves and have a good time, but also build onto the project as well, helping grow the community more and organize it in a better fashion, and also help make sure people don't interfere with basically trying to disrupt certain things or discriminate against others, because me personally, I believe in free speech and everyone should be respected no matter what their ideas is, as long as it doesn't harm or threaten someone. But besides that, there's nothing much to say. But I'd also like to make sure that everything, like, people follow the rules and regulations, but also not try to make it so strict that people can't enjoy themselves, and make sure that people don't get, well, I guess, violently when it comes to conversations and things like that. I think I'd be good for managing that, and I hope the voters will pick the right choice when it comes to the candidates.
Interesting political talk there at the end. Very diplomatic of you. Let's now move on to Dane. Hi, Dane. How are you doing? And tell us all about you. If he's with us.
I think he has problems.
Hello?
Yes.
You talking to me?
Yes, we are. Good start, Dane.
I'm sorry. My name's Dane, and I'm running to be one of your new Force 13 moderators. It's a pleasure to speak to you, whether or not this is the first time you've ever spoke to me, or whether we speak on a regular basis. I was the first candidate to introduce a comprehensive biography of myself and world system. So those of you who are in the Force 13 Discord should generally know what I'm trying to do. But first, I'm just going to get a little bit more into myself. I'm 16. I'm a high school sophomore in the state of Kentucky. I've been around Force 13 since April, and I admittedly did not expect to be relevant in this election. I was just hoping not to finish last. Somehow last time I checked the polls, I was tied for third. That was quite surprising to say the least. But anyway, let's go back to where I went. We're going kind of in a circle here. My bad. I ended up in my proposed Force 13 rules. I did change some things, not a lot. It's not going to change anything big time, but it is nonetheless something new. And in it, I categorized offenses into minor or no tolerance.
Oh boy. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time to discuss the ins and outs of that later on, but I just wanted a brief intro there, Dane.
And I also have a list of offenses. As a part of my moderator campaign, I hope to make the rules publicly accessible so that everybody can know and understand the Force 13 rules.
Thank you very much. I should mention at this point that this election debate, which you might want to call it, it's all very fancy, isn't it, for the next moderator election on the Force 13 Discord, has been requested by the people who are running in it. Nothing to do with me, so they wanted to put it themselves live, and they're doing it right now, but I thought we'd open it down to a little bit more of a discussion as well, just introducing everyone. Now let's move on over to John, if you'd like to spend some time on who John is.
Hello, give me a second. Hello, John. I've been with the Force 13 project for a little over 2 years now. I'm from Ashland, Massachusetts. I am not obviously in Ashland, Massachusetts. I am in Lyndonville, Vermont, studying atmospheric science at Lyndon State College. I'm a freshman in college. And I personally want the project to go in the right direction in terms of making sure everyone not necessarily behaves, as long as the chat rooms are civil. All right? I mean, I don't want flame wars happening on the reg. That's just not right. And I just want Force 13 to be a place where everyone's opinions can be heard and respected, as well as not completely shot down like crazy, because those days were not fun. However, I've been into atmospheric science, meteorology, or weather, whatever you want to call it. I know there are many different names. all three of those, in my opinion, are kind of interchangeable for the same thing. Since I was like 4 or 5-ish, since I was a kid, and I want to turn that interest into a profession. Obviously, that's why I'm at college right now, and that's why you don't really see me here very often, is I'm just usually very busy doing my college work, so getting here is very hard for me. But I was able to slot away some time tonight to do this.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much, John. And finally, last but certainly not least, is one of the other incumbents, Cesar.
Good afternoon, day or morning, currently. I'm the moderator of Force 13 right now. I'm Cesar Games from Mexico, exactly from Monterrey, but I moved to León, Guanajuato a year ago. And I started watching Force 13 back on 2012 when I discovered one of the most famous videos of Force 13 right now, these days. My interest of meteorology started when Hurricane Alex of 2010 devastated my place. That was in that time Monterrey, of course, and I really got interested about these kind of storms because I was never affected by the mother nature like that. Monterrey still in a very bad condition after the hurricane. It hasn't still recovered fully for the hurricane. And my first contact with formally with the Force 13 team was on August 26th of 2015. So I'm in the team from that time until now, and I'm running for moderatorship again, just to keep the same rules as Force 13 has been posted since the start of this project, and I just want to continue the integrity, the communication, or bringing people here to the project to discuss everything about tropical cyclones, sharing our interest of this kind of nature. And well, I just wish I can accomplish the expectations to the people if I get elected again. So well, that's from me.
Thank you very much, Cesar, and that is everyone who is in here right now. There are some other candidates also who you can find on the vote page. Tanya is the only female candidate in the election. We've also got Craig, and we also have, not looking at my sheet right now, who am I forgetting? Am I forgetting anyone? I can't remember.
You're forgetting Strat, I believe.
Strat, who is coming on
yes,
later on, who to give us his perspective. Okay, well, let's get on to our first topic. And obviously, Hurricane Ophelia passed through the British Isles 2 or 3 days ago, 1 or 2 days ago, really, and is just about dead at the time of this broadcast. Obviously, if you're watching live, you know exactly what time it is, but the very intriguing part about this storm is how the National Hurricane Center did not issue any warnings on that storm for the Azores or for Europe, when one might argue that maybe they should have been required. On our panel, who would like to begin and talk about that and their thoughts?
Well,
John?
This kind of brings up the Sandy debate, because if you remember Hurricane Sandy, as soon as that storm turned post-tropical, I remember the National Hurricane Center lifted all the warnings for that storm, and they got a lot of flack for that. So I'm wondering, since they thought it was so unusual for a storm to hit that location, well, obviously non-tropical, but you get the point. It just, I don't think they found it necessary. I personally think that those warnings should have been posted at least for the conditions, but it's just, Ophelia's position is very unusual for a storm of its strength and intensity. I mean, you don't get a cat-free south of the Azores every day. So the NHC were probably underestimating the wind field of the storm when talking about the Azores. I mean, the Azores got pretty much scraped by, but direct impacts were pretty much felt within Ireland and the UK, more or less Ireland. I think there should have been at least a tropical storm warning for tropical storm conditions. I don't care if it was post-tropical or not, but I remember that NHC will still issue tropical storm warnings and hurricane warnings nowadays, even if the storm is post-tropical, which I just kind of found it odd that they didn't do this for Ophelia. Because I remember post-tropical sorry, I was just going to make one mark. I just remember post-tropical cyclone Hermine of last year. They had tropical storm warnings for that up here in Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island, which is I'm just getting at the point that they issued warnings for a post-tropical cyclone. Why didn't they do the same for Ophelia?
Cesar, what are your thoughts?
Console.
I think Cesar, you awake?
Is there a delay?
No, because I having bad connection again.
Sorry about that.
No, sorry for me. The internet is not working. Well, my opinion and thoughts about Hurricane Ophelia is, first, it was an unprecedented event. I mean, nobody expected Ophelia to reach such intensity, such latitude, and of course, making landfall in Ireland, I must say, a pretty strong intensity. I mean, gusts of 96 miles per hour, they were felt in Ireland, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, officially, yes.
And about 80 or 85, I must say, I guess.
Officially, it was 86 in the UK officially. There are some unofficial numbers for both that are higher.
So the reason there is that always it is like a cycle. I mean, every time a very strange storm will occur sooner or later. And 30 years ago, the Great Storm of 1987 practically devastated kind of the same places.
But what about your actual critique, Cesar?
From Hurricane Floyd. And
on your critique, do you think the National Hurricane Center did their job?
Overall, it has been completely...
We're really struggling with this signal.
I mean, I think the National Hurricane Center overall did not, haven't done a good job, because they were like updating the storm like every 6 hours when Ophelia was approaching pretty quick to the UK. Well, about the Met Office in the UK, I think they were pretty aware of the risk of the cyclone.
Let's get some more points of view.
Circumstances that are related for...
Thank you, Cesar. Let's get some more points of view. But he can't hear me, I don't think.
Of the life. It was just bad luck for those 3 people that died.
Well, Cesar's still talking, but I'll just mute him for a moment there. His signal is so poor. Daniel, what do you think?
Well, living in the UK means I actually experienced some of the effects of Ophelia. There wasn't much really anything major. It was just mostly lots of high winds. I thought the trees outside were going to get blown away, but they didn't.
Do you think the National Hurricane Center were... they didn't issue any hurricane warnings for this storm? Do you think that is running away from their responsibilities?
I think they should have done it for Ireland or places where it was going to hit with a greater intensity, because there are actually people killed in Ireland.
Right, of course.
Yeah.
The UK, the mainland UK, it wasn't really as badly effective.
I know you want to speak, John, but I just want to get everyone in. Orlando?
Hello?
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think it's early on. I don't think they were doing that poor, because the areas were fine and no one expected it to become a major hurricane south of the Azores. But the fact that they, even if it was post-tropical or not, the fact that they didn't issue any types of warnings whatsoever, or at least try consulting with the meteorological offices, the United Kingdom or Ireland, is quite an issue, because why, if you know it's going to be already a destructive system for the region, and it's post-tropical even. As John noted earlier, they did the same thing for Hermine, and it was post-tropical, and they were still issuing warnings and things like that. But instead, the National Hurricane Center failed to do this, and I think it was quite a mistake, as it could have been taken more so as a serious situation by the citizens of the affected areas, which most likely, since there wasn't any warnings, could have basically made people stay and things like that.
May I make a note?
Go.
I agree with Lindo, and I think that Force 13, when Force 13 issued the tropical storm and hurricane warnings or watches or whatever you guys issued for Ireland, I felt like that was more of an action than what the NEC did. They just said, it's just going to go there, and we're not going to put warnings on that. I think it was because more or less it's on the edge of their jurisdiction.
Force 13 put out warnings for Ireland, France, and southwestern England because it still had the potential to be tropical by the time tropical storm force winds arrived. So that's why we did that.
The conditions will be the same regardless if it's tropical or not. The conditions would be the same.
Technicality, isn't it?
All technicality. That's all these officials like to do sometimes. They sometimes like to say by technicality, but then again, you say, well, what about Hermine? That was a post-tropical cyclone. Why they issue warnings on that?
All right.
So, it's like,
Dane, we haven't heard from you.
All right. So, personally, what I think happened and why they didn't issue warnings was I think they probably substantially underestimated it, in that there's never been a hurricane in the Azores in the modern era, like that Category 3, like a storm of that strength. And I think that as a result, similar to what somebody else said, I can't remember who said it, but I think what ended up happening was that they ended up underestimating the wind field, and they based whether or not there were warnings off of that wind field. And if they had checked the wind gust reports, they may very well have ended up issuing warnings.
Right.
But that's basically what I think ended up happening.
Any further comments from anyone?
Maybe there might have been some undersampling.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Maybe there might have been some undersampling of the wind field.
Right. Yeah, possibly. Well, you know, that's likely, I reckon. I mean, you look at the pressures that it came out with. Wasn't there a station in Ireland that had sub 960, or was that something else? I don't know. It was in the 960s, though. You know,
it was definitely in the 60s, 960s. Yeah, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head because it's been a while since I saw it, and I've been running all day, so.
Sure. Well, let's move on to our next topic then. You may be accustomed by now to what goes on in various places around the world. Here in the UK, the Met Office started recently to name extratropical windstorms that pass through the country. Germany, the Free University of Berlin, I believe, has named low and high pressure regions for years. The question is, should non-tropical entities or any significant weather system be named? Some people are for this, some people are against it, and let's see what our panel thinks. Who'd like to go first?
I know the Weather Channel started naming winter storms a couple of years back, and that definitely caused some outcry in some degrees, and in some degrees it was supported. The official National Weather Service NOAA completely denied. And
we're losing John's signal now.
Oh dear.
My internet's going.
Yeah. Not great. We got the gist.
Not a bad timing.
We'll come back to you, John. Orlando, would you like to go ahead?
Sure. Well, I think personally it depends on the circumstance. Like winter weather events, I think that it would be reasonable because there's so many that happen, and some are quite notable and destructive destruction and death and things as such, which could be prevented but isn't. But the thing is about it all is I personally find it like tiresome and confusing when there's like so many winter storms that happen in one winter alone that are quite notable. They break records of snowfall, kill a lot of people, cause a lot of damage, cause roofs to collapse, things as such. And when you look back to it, you like call it the blizzard of, let's say, 2005 or something like that.
Blizzard 13.
Well, but besides that, it just doesn't make sense because there's so many of them that happen in 1 year, and they can all be equally as destructive and vary in intensity and things like that, because they even have a category system for these types of systems, yet there is no naming or type of numbers or codes given to these, and so I think they deserve some type of notability.
I guess the argument in America, at least, is should it be private organizations naming storms, or should it be the public organizations doing so? Because you've got the potential for different private organizations naming storms by different names, causing more confusion. Do you think this might be a failure to recognize the demand for this from the National Weather Service?
Maybe. I think it might be because there's so many names out there. I think it's just these people are outcrying against the National Weather Service or NOAA's denial of just like, no, you shouldn't name these things. Tropical cyclones are a whole different ballgame. I think I wanted to make a little note based off what Orlando said, that I think the Weather Channel once exhausted the whole list of names before they got through like March.
And when you get to that point, and you've also got hurricane names, and when winter storms happen, and then you get a hurricane name coming, are people going to take it more seriously or less?
I mean, you got the situation that I like to call the 2016 scenario, which is you have probably a winter storm active somewhere in the United States, and you have a hurricane active in the Atlantic at the same time.
Wow.
I'm talking about Alex.
Yes, yes.
So you can definitely get a little confusion there, because hurricanes or tropical storms or tropical cyclones can happen any time of the year. Doesn't matter. It just, season is when they most commonly happen. They can happen out of season regardless.
Sure. Anyone?
Speaking of...
Quickly, please.
Speaking of those types of comparisons, I'd also like to think that to solve the problem with exhausting names, I think they should like have different categories, just like they have for tropical storms, tropical depressions to tropical storms. I think there should be like little codes for like minor systems compared to more stronger and possibly more destructive or notable ones.
I think the only type of scaling they have is winter storm, and then there's blizzard. That's really about it. There's not. That's the only scaling they really have.
That's how it works in the warning system. I just want to, if anyone apart from John or Orlando wants to talk about this, go right ahead. Just want to get some...
I'm going to go... I'll go.
Go ahead.
So when it comes to naming systems, I think that as long as you don't have multiple authorities naming it, I don't think it's an issue. Because... For example, you all might remember Winter Storm Nemo in 2015. That name became like super trending simply because of the Weather Channel. And I think if it had simply been called a blizzard, I think it might not have gotten quite as much publicity.
Like
so
blizzard
I think,
Nemo.
yeah. So I think that the naming has a benefit in that it raises awareness to something that could be destructive, but if you have multiple authorities naming it, for instance, if the Weather Channel and like CBS were both, or like the Weather Channel and the National Weather Service were both naming them different things, I think that's when it would get confusing. So I think that as long as it's one entity I don't think it's an issue.
I just want to make 2 quick points here. Number one, I don't think if the National Weather Service was naming these things, I think the Weather Channel would use the National Weather Service names. Just saying, because they do the same thing with hurricanes.
True.
And number 2, you get this. If the audience is not sure what we're talking about, here's an actual tropical scene. Well, yeah, I'm just gonna give an example. There's actually a tropical element to this as well, because if you know the West Pacific, there's a part of the West Pacific that the Philippines names their own systems, and sometimes there's a little bit of confusion between what's the Philippine name and what's the JMA name, because it can get a little confusing sometimes. So that's why sometimes with those in the West Pac,
right.
If you have those storms active, you have to say this typhoon, also known as this typhoon.
Sure. Daniel, from a UK perspective, the Met Office recently, about a season or 2 ago, started naming winter windstorms. Are you for or against this move?
I think it's a bit absurd.
Okay.
Because they're not really major things that are occurring.
Do you think
Typical windstorm.
Do you think you agree with the concern that that naming a lot of these storms? The problem I personally had with the Met Office is that I have no set criteria for those particular storms, but you're concerned that maybe they're getting used too readily and people are not taking them seriously.
They might be, but to be perfectly honest, I don't really understand the naming at all. But I don't really know.
Do you think it's difficult to understand?
Yeah, I think it's a bit silly.
Okay.
But I don't know. It's just.
Do you think names should only be confined to tropical systems?
No.
No.
I don't know. Maybe they could be confined to more major storms. Maybe.
You think that naming should be? You think that naming should be determined by a wind speed then, no matter what its tropicality status is, maybe?
I don't know. I don't think.
Or possible impact severity.
Interesting.
Probably, yeah.
Very interesting. Very easy to get people confused, though. Cesar, we've not heard from you. Hopefully we can get a signal. Any thoughts? Maybe a little delay there.
I'm totally the opposite of Daniel.
Hmm.
I think the naming extratropical windstorms are useful because people are not taking serious sometimes storms. They need like a guidance or something to identify them.
Yep. We must be really struggling with your signal.
Those systems will help them to identify the storms and following.
Nope, his signal's completely gone down there.
Oh dear.
For them.
Cesar, we tried with that, but we gather from that you are very much in favour of naming extratropical cyclones.
I cannot believe this.
I
cannot believe. I'm in favor.
Yes.
Well, again, because I'm struggling a lot. If my connections agree with my agree to.
Who's pouring a drink during a stream?
Me.
Most unprofessional.
Sorry.
You think you get away with that? Come on.
13, 2017.
There it is. There he is. Oh.
Having a nice Pepsi over there.
It's actually sparkling water.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, now let's. I think that's the end of that discussion. Let's move on to probably the main event, I suppose. If you're interested in the in joining our community, you can go onto Discord, search my name, Fool13, and add extension 9094. Or you can go onto the link at the bottom of your screen, you can do the polling voting, and you can also join the Discord server from there if you want to talk to the team and all the other people who are on there as well. And if you do that in the next hour or so, you'll be eligible to vote for the next moderator, which is sort of, we're talking to all the candidates now because they've decided they wanted to run a big, massive debate, and I've not told them how much the expenses will cost them all yet. So we'll see how it all goes for them. Who will get bankrupt first? But now let's talk a little bit more centrally about the Force 13 project. It's been going for nearly 6 years. 6 years at the end of November, which is much longer than I ever anticipated. Moderator of this particular debate, also the founder of the project. And it's been a very slow process, I suppose, and one that's hardly ever had a direction. So I guess my question to these hopefuls right now, what sort of direction would you like to see the project go in? And let's begin with Orlando.
Well, me personally, I'd like to see, like...
Just briefly, I'm talking not only about the chat rooms, but the community, but the actual output of the project itself, what everyone sees during the big storms.
Yeah, that's, I think personally that it should be, like, it should, like, allow the community and the organization itself to branch out, and most likely it's already gaining a lot of popularity that is quite surprising to most of us that the project has been growing so rapidly in just this year alone. And I think that it'd be nice to see it continue to grow and things as such. And I'd also hope that it could branch out possibly into different categories and things as such for storm tracking, animations, things like that. I think it'd be successful in that way.
I think Strat's just joined us. Are you there?
Yes, I am here. Good evening, everyone. I'm
Strat
sorry.
is another one of the candidates here. There are 8 in total. You can see them all on the voting page at the bottom of your screen. And give us a little intro about yourself, Strat, and then answer the question, in what direction would you like to see the project go in terms of actual output?
All right. I'm Strat. I've been part of Force 13 on and off, mostly on now for the past 2 months, for a little over a year now, and I'm looking more towards optimization of the project. I feel that we are expanding rapidly, but that we're overextending ourselves a little bit, and I'd like to rein ourselves in a little bit to try to focus on things that we need to do.
Who's doing that?
It sounds like a violin.
So in the short term, optimize ourselves that we can look at the necessary things to improve, like improving CDPS or social media or video quality, and then once we're steady on that, expand out into other topics.
All right, anything else?
No, that's pretty much my opening statement.
All right, thank you very much for that, Strat. Who would like to go next?
I'll go next, I suppose. So I feel like our direction is fine. I did quite a bit of the streaming over the summer, and as long as people can handle keeping the stuff that's popular and continuing to do what we do at the bare minimum, basically maintain what we have at the bare minimum, then I think that's a pretty good direction, and I would say, and it appears to be a good direction currently.
All right. Daniel?
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, I was going to say I'd like to see the project branch out to more different media, whatever.
Any examples?
Maybe like music, maybe, or gaming.
We do music. You want to see more into that?
Yeah, especially the SoundCloud account, which I believe has been a little bit abandoned. It'd be nice to see a bit more content on there.
It was because it has a certain limit on it, and I don't want to upload too many things.
I could suggest Bandcamp.
Left it. Well, maybe you should be the music producer on the project and look into stuff like that. Who knows?
Yeah.
Any more thoughts about that?
That kind of is your thing, Daniel.
Sorry?
Any more thoughts about that, Daniel?
Perhaps it could be sold, maybe, and to generate a bit of income for the project. The music.
Oh, I thought you meant the project should be sold. Good lord.
Right.
No, okay.
About
good idea.
That income and revenue, we could continue to optimize SEO with search engine optimization to try to pull in some more revenue to reinvest to improve the project further.
Yeah, just with that violin again. Who is that? Just so everyone knows, I have no intentions of ever selling out. Okay, no chance of that. Although
I'm not saying sell out. I'm saying,
I know.
like, you know.
I'm just making it clear to the viewers that we have no intentions of ever selling out. But there may be we may be doing things like, I don't know. Who knows what we might be doing? We are.
Please don't do reality TV.
and please let's not have nails on chalkboard.
Who would like to speak next? John?
Yeah, why not?
Go ahead.
So, what I like to see for the project in the future is that I think we should, at least, like Dan said, keep doing what we're doing, and at the same time, I like to make small improvements here and there to make sure our viewer experience is always improving. Like, I don't, like, you know, every once in a while change up the graphics, or basically at the end of every period or time frame, you know, refresh the channel in terms of graphical appearance, as well as you know, keep doing what we're doing in terms of content.
Which we have been doing. We change the graphical appearance every year, usually.
Yes, which is good. Which I honestly like. I think it's a great way of making something that is not really different. Like,
certainly.
Storm reporting, it has changed a lot.
That's what the media world is like, you know, it's finding new ways to present things, and sometimes it's almost like a fashion trend.
But I do like it, and I'm always impressed by what Force 13 comes out in terms of graphics every year. I mean, it keeps getting better and better, and I want to keep doing that. I want to make sure that if we're still around by 2018, 2019-ish, we should, you know, keep improving, get better.
Right.
And then, like Daniel said, maybe reach out into different branches, like music or gaming or whatever. We should definitely take those considerations. And
I feel like we need to
listen to all ideas and.
Thank you.
I feel like we shouldn't just throw ourselves into gaming and stuff too early, though. When
true.
Because let's see, there's a current list of over 20 to 25 topics that Force 13 has highlights on right now. So
why don't you start the recruiting drive right here? If anyone wants to help in various parts of the project, you can go right ahead.
There's things with multiple prioritization levels that Nathan has written out for something, and if we're on high demand for some of these things, then I don't think we should be continuing to expand. There's also other things that we can cut as well that aren't being used or anything either.
Like what?
We leave things there that are dormant.
Yeah, dormant, like, let's see, for example, we can cut out, let's see, I double open something.
There's all sorts of ideas in there.
We can cut out predict the season, for example, or...
Oh, the fans won't like that. They like that.
The fans will hate that. The fans will hate that. Do not cut that out, because it's people like that.
It was a fan's favorite, I have to say.
Hey, that's how I got introduced to the project.
That's how John found the project.
Yeah, that's kind of how I found it too.
Oh my!
Back in 2014.
Really?
Back in 2012.
Well, I didn't know this. I didn't know this, folks.
Season videos.
But it's something that's been dormant for a while.
Videos.
Oh no, that's okay. You didn't use predictor season. You saw the hypothetical hurricane season videos. Wonderful.
2012, dead last. Hooray!
Yeah.
Or like, you know, the game show department, for example. That's something you can cut out. Or
yeah, we haven't been using that. Yeah.
Unless there are people who want to do game shows for us, but at the moment,
unless you want to,
I can't commit.
But I feel like it's a better idea to focus on the vital parts of the project and optimize those to the fullest for better viewer experience before we try to branch out further. Like,
What
you
are
know,
you
I feel
going-
like we should spend a lot more time and like focus on NAMS or the UK warning system that were just put out, and then try to start up new things at the moment.
Okay.
Strat, I want to also throw a question at you. What do you suggest that we do when there's nothing active? Like at the beginning of this year, we were trying to find things to do because activity was at like a record low. So what do you suggest we do when nothing is really going on? Like
Nothing's going on,
no
then we can start to branch into new things. But right now we have a lot of things going. Or you can just continue to optimize things to improve them. Like I know a new version of SatTops is coming out at the end of this year. You can continue to research and develop new things.
Thank
Sat
you.
ID, I think is it Sat ID? Or is it called again?
I think it's Satid.
Something like that. It's still a working title.
SATIED.
Can we try Cesar again? I just want his opinion if he can afford to give it to us with his terrible signal. I don't know if you're there, Cesar, and I'm giving you the opportunity to talk about what you think the Force 13 direction should be. But I don't know.
Hello?
Cesar's having a really hard time today.
Yeah, I think he said that he's like not really even able to join the call.
That's a shame. But you can find Cesar on the poll online as well.
I wish he was talking too, because he has some real good ideas. Usually.
Well, we've sort of exhausted all of our material around 14 minutes early, so if anyone wants to go off on any tangents, now is the time.
Now it's time for some Storm question mark? Just kidding.
Excuse me?
Oh
no, in fact, we're not finished. I have to mention at this point, on behalf of Tanya, who couldn't make it tonight, but wants me to tell you a little bit about herself, so I'm going to be doing it on her behalf. She comes from the northeast corner of Pennsylvania, where she resides with her family, attending classes at a local university. She has attained a Bachelor of Arts in Criminal Justice and Sociology, minored in Forensic Accounting, and was a graduate recognized for completing the honors program as an undergraduate. Currently, she's working towards earning a Master of Science degree in Criminal Justice, as anticipated in May 2018. Additionally, she holds a position at a local McDonald's chain restaurant, where she is fully cross-trained to fulfill any position required of her. Unofficially, her title is Crew Trainer, or as she likes to call it, Team Lead, but she's merely recognized as a lone crew member. That's Tanya in a nutshell. That's what she sent over to me, and she also would like your vote. The only female candidate in this particular running. Well,
is that all business?
Pretty much. So, I don't know where you'd like to go next. If you want to have a disagree on something, please.
I mean, one other thing I would say is that I noticed.
How about this hat? Does anyone
Strat?
get it?
No.
I noticed there's been a bit of infighting lately in general, and I feel like if anyone has disagreements about certain issues, particularly politics, what I've seen more in the open, if it gets hostile, that should be taken out of the Discord, and that people should pay attention more to when they should stop talking about that stuff in a public setting and take it privately before it can get really heated and upset a lot of people.
Start talking about politics.
Because I noticed, at least in the past week or so, people haven't been really doing that to the best.
Let's not do it directly, but let's just go through everyone here, and I'll just rattle through everyone and see where they see themselves on the political spectrum. Daniel, what do you think?
I'm not going to. I don't feel comfortable discussing that.
Who would you vote for in the United Kingdom right now?
Let me think.
Obviously not Theresa May.
I'm trying to think.
I think you can take a pass.
I know.
Yeah.
Tinky Winky.
Oh god.
Okay.
If you want Daniel to run a second term as moderator, you can vote if you're part of the Force 13 Discord room, part of our community.
Should I tell everybody who Tinky Winky is?
If you must.
Although obviously not obvious, so I won't go into it.
Okay. Dane, how would you describe yourself on the political spectrum?
I am definitely left. Like, I supported Bernie Sanders in the presidential election. I am definitely towards the left. I generally like the Nordic model, or social democracy, whatever you call it. So yeah, I'm I'm definitely to the left. I might even be left of the Labour Party. Who knows?
Wow, that's something. It's quite something.
Uh,
John, how about you?
I'm solid left.
What does that mean?
I mean, I like I said.
What's a liquid left like?
Very funny. What I'm trying to say is that I did support Bernie Sanders until he got kicked out of the election because I was thinking statistically he had no chance of winning. So I was going. I tried to vote for Hillary Clinton because I was a voting age at the time, and I am. I'm 19. But I often support most things that the Democratic Party of the United States usually supports, more or less. I have a couple disagreements here and there, but doesn't everybody? I currently registered as an independent.
You rarely find a party that stands for absolutely everything you strive for.
Yes, exactly. That's why I'm still registered as an independent, because some things I'm left on, some very few things I'm right of center on, but very, very few things.
Strat, sorry. Strat.
Yep.
We'll talk to Strat. How about you?
I am a social democrat, which means I am I'm pretty much like Bernie Sanders, except less of an economic hardliner. Put it in simple terms, I am a heavy supporter of the system that the Nordic Union uses due to its massive success that it's had overall, putting all 4 of the mainland countries into the 4 of the top 10 most successful countries on the planet.
Yeah.
In terms of prosperity-wise, due to a multitude of rankings for different topics.
That's why I like the Nordic model, because it has success.
It's I would like it in my home country of America, but I am not going to say that it'd be perfect, considering it's never been tested on such a large scale.
But some Americans, they'll want to skin you alive for that. And tell you
the point is, it's never been tested on such a large scale, 10 times larger size.
Not even, maybe 100 times.
And I put Orlando last because he's the obvious one. Orlando, would you like to tell us?
Go ahead.
Well, I used to be Democratic. I used to be like more of a centrist, more leaning left, but I became more conservative in nature. Besides that, I've supported Donald Trump, but I also, at the same time, I shared 2 different values. Some of them are very controversial, and it's understandable and also debatable in what he says and things like that. But besides that, I'd also like to later on have a political career and things like that. And I guess that's it for me for political standings.
Alright, final things for everyone. We'll run around quickly. 1 word to describe America. Daniel?
Broken.
Dane?
Terrible.
John?
Divided.
Okay, Strat?
Can I say Civil War?
That's 2 words.
I'll go unrest.
Unrest. Orlando?
Liberty.
Okay. Cesar, can we squeeze a word out of you? Maybe not, I don't know.
No, I'd like to change that. I'd like to change that word. Wall.
Oh,
yeah, I knew you would do that when I mentioned Cesar.
No.
Wonderful.
Oh, no.
All that money for a wall, yet they can't even afford healthcare.
I just,
Pathetic.
Oh boy.
a wall's a bad idea, alright? I mean...
It's a
you
poor
don't wanna
economic
throw a
investment.
rope, right?
Maybe they should
am a
invest in
numbers-
getting the president some anger management lesson.
Okay.
Yeah.
I am a numbers person, and looking at a wall like that makes me cringe.
How much money did we waste building the wall? I don't know, about $30 billion?
Someone just commented saying no wall, planes fly over walls.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's my
Tinky
next
Winky
thing,
doesn't
actually.
build walls.
Well, you can dig under walls, you can climb over walls.
Why did you make that joke again?
You can...
You can go to round walls.
Swim
You
around
can
walls.
balloon over a wall. I believe that's one way people escaped Berlin. They rode a balloon over the Berlin Wall. Like an
Yeah,
What happened to the Berlin Wall?
Yeah, have you ever heard of Larry Walters, this guy in the 80s who decided to go up into the air in a lawn chair with
I heard of him.
with like 44 weather balloons, and he made it to like 10,000 feet above Las Angeles.
I think the FAA
Crazy.
wanted to have a chat with him.
Alright, well, hey, all that wall bashing left that leads us to the end of this particular debate. We hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you got to meet some of the members a little bit more. Just one more thing from me. If you find anyone in particular on our servers comparing some of our members to particular recent terrorists, then I think you should avoid them. That's all for now. This was Force 13's live edition of Debate 13. We'll be back again with more Storm updates. You know where to find us for those. Searches on Facebook and Twitter, Force 13, all in text. And we'll have videos whenever the situation arises. Thanks for joining us.
Bye now.
It's been fun.
Bye.
It always
Craig,
is.
Craig, I have that shirt and I'm very... Or not Craig, oh my god, John, I have that shirt and I'm very disappointed in you.
Why?
You're wearing a Minecraft Elements shirt.
Hey, I have Minecraft on my computer.
Yeah, I do too, but it's cringe now.